to this special discussion on SportsKPI, where we are going to talk about the experience of Mr. Naveen Ningaiah during the 8th edition of the Pro Kabaddi League that happened here in Bangalore from December 22nd to February 25th. In this 2.5 months affair, the whole tournament was held in a biobubble atmosphere, and all the 12 teams and its staff members who were taking part in this tournament had to be inside a biobubble without getting any connections outside. And it was a very challenging stuff for the players as well, because they are new into this atmosphere and they are taking their time to get adjusted, and also to the staffs, like the analysts, the coaches, and all the other team members who sit in the back and play a major role in making sure that their teams perform well on the mat. So today I have Naveen Ningaiah here. Welcome, Naveen sir.
Hey, hi, Dhanush. Thanks for having me for this.
Yeah, so how was your experience altogether to begin with? Because it was like, what, 2.5 months from December 22nd to February 25th, like 65 days. How grueling was it?
It was quite a grueling, but I mean, it was not that difficult as I thought of. I think the first thing which came to my mind was when they said a biobubble, and I actually planned to join the team. It was the first 7 days was a quarantine in the hotel, probably like the first 7 days when you enter the hotel. So that's when I was like, my mind was like, how am I going to spend those 7 days sitting alone and not coming out of the room as well. That was difficult. But however, I mean, it was not that difficult. Typically, I mean, we got used to it very quickly. We used to have this morning session, the fitness sessions, and evening fitness sessions done on Zoom as well. And we were able to interact with all the coaches and the players out there. And the days just passed. So it was not that much of a difficult, which I thought of before. And yes, I mean, also 65 days, because I think pretty much we had a matches every 2 or 3 days. Didn't have so much of gap. So you're quite used to the matches, and the next match was coming up and all preparation was going in. So that was something, a very different experience. But however, never thought it's going to be that difficult. So I think it went with the flow.
One thing that I saw that I want to know is, since this biobubble is something really new for all of us, right? And due to the pandemic and all these stuff, no one had an idea that we are going to face this situation and we have to be caged down in one place and we have to stay there for a long period of time and all that. How this biobubble atmosphere actually works, and according to you, how the whole stuff is being prepared?
So, okay, this is my experience. I mean, it's only in the Pro Kabaddi. It's been quite common in ISL or even in IPL as well. People have done in multiple biobubbles. So typically what I know is in Pro Kabaddi, what happened was all the 12 teams, which is close to around, if you imagine, around 30 people per team. So close to 360 to at least close to 400 people stayed in one hotel that was in Sheraton. And so we joined the team and I mean, everyone comes from different parts of the country. And so we enter to the bubble. So once we enter, they first do our RT-PCR test, and then they allow us in the bubble. So then you pretty much have a 7-day quarantine period. So even those days also, every day used to have a RT-PCR test done. So just come and knock at our doors and then make sure that we come and do an RT-PCR test done pretty much every day. Also, it was told to us that mask is mandatory. Even if you just step out of the hotel throughout the season, you have to be with your mask. It has to be N95 mask only, not a regular thing. And we should have an ID card, so that it's an accreditation card saying that you are in the bubble. So a person not wearing an accreditation card means that, okay, is not in the bubble right now. That means somehow is entered. So, but typically it didn't happen. There again, I mean, all the team players, they were in one bubble. And also I hear that there's another bubble for the broadcasters, the TV guys. So they don't come and have a close contact, but they were also in a bubble in another hotel, and there's to come down, travel to the match venues as well. I think there are 2 or 3 bubbles which has been created, but we were amongst the team and the players bubble which was being there. And regularly, even once you come out of the quarantine period, so sometimes we used to have pretty much twice daily an RT-PCR test, or maybe I think the antigen test. So that used to be done as well. So we used to get the results and then, pretty much that. And if a player or anyone, any staff or player or even the chef, even the waiters, everyone was in the bubble. So if someone is tested positive, or if anything of that sort happened, then they were moved to another hotel for them to quarantine for another 6 or 7 days. And after getting two negatives, only then they were allowed inside the bubble. So those kind of practice were considered out there.
So we saw a lot of matches getting rescheduled because a number of teams, especially I guess Gujarat Giants, had this issue twice, if I'm not wrong, where I guess they got a COVID case within their team and they had to reschedule a few matches. I guess Patna Pirates missed like 10 days of play, and they had to come back and play 5 matches in a trot, and all those things happened. So during that time is what you say is they had to go into a separate bubble quarantine there for 7 days and then come back after testing after testing negative twice, right?
Yeah, depending on who get positive. So I'm not sure which it was the player or staff or anyone the team as such. So typically, once they need to have someone been infected, so that they make sure that that particular team has been set aside, and most of the matches would be rescheduled for that particular person as well. But however, it's also that was the league can't go they can't be extended. It has to be I think it has to finish on 25th of Feb. That was a plan. And I think the organizer did a fantastic job to make sure the rescheduling, and also in terms of the bubble not to be broken, and also in terms of making sure that it's not being spread across quite widely as well. So I think credit to the organizers, Mashal Sports, and to the league commissioners, and the people who actually was there part of this particular, to making sure the bubble is pretty good.
At one situation for a week, if I'm not wrong, there were like only one match per day, and they had to make sure that all those matches that got rescheduled happened at the right time, and the tournaments got over at as per schedule. And we saw the last week of the league stage pretty much having 3 matches every single day, and that was the reason because of the rescheduling and all the other stuff. So as far as your team is concerned, which you were a part of, was UP Yoddha, they came into the playoffs and they got out in the semifinals. And how was your experience being with UP Yoddha, being with the players, and how were these players getting adjusted into this situation? Because this is really, really new for them. They come from very different places, very different backgrounds, completely different atmosphere in a 5-star hotel and all those stuff. How tough they found it to get adjusted?
No, I mean, the toughness is majorly in the bubble kind of a system. Pretty much the previous, I mean, this is my third time I'm with the team in Pro Kabaddi, where I'm traveling with the team. So prior tournaments or prior seasons, we used to travel. Like it was like a caravan kind of a system, wherein you play in one city and then travel to another city. So when we finish, we typically travel, go to a new place, get into a new hotel, and then get used to that kind of a mode also. And typically when we used to go to Delhi or maybe Chandigarh, a lot of players can also have to maybe a day can they take a break and go home as well, right? But here it was for 65 days, you're stuck in one place. And also to make sure that everyone follows the COVID norms, which is set by the league, it is something incredible for the team management also to make sure that people are doing that thing very well, right? Whether if it's your training sessions, not meeting or not interacting too much with the opponent teammates as well. There was a space which was created for your own dining space, where you're supposed to go on time and make sure that you have it. You're not supposed to. A lot of team was not supposed to come together in one particular room as well. So the slots for your trainings was set because all the 12 teams were staying in the same hotel, and so these kind of things was already been set. And it took some time for the players, but I felt they adjusted very quickly, even with the coaches as well. And I think maybe it was also good that you don't have to travel much. You don't have to pack your bags again, go to a different city, and then do the same thing as well. I think that also saved the time. But however, it could have been possible that people could have gone home once or twice, because that also gives you some kind of a better way to you to train and practice as well. So these kind of things there. But however, I guess all the teams adjusted pretty well, and also with the strict norms by the leagues and taken care by the management, I think things become much more easier over there.
Your role that you were playing, the analyst role for the UP Yoddha squad, and the performance of UP Yoddha, as we saw, it was quite imbalanced, is what I will say, because they started off the tournament with not so good performances. They lost a couple of matches in a row, and then had a 5-match winning streak, if I'm not wrong. And then they lost 3 matches or 4 matches in a row. It was quite imbalanced, but at the end of the day, they were able to make into the playoffs, and they ended up coming till the semifinals. How was it for you as an analyst to make sure that the team doesn't lose their hope, and when they had this 5-match winning streak as well, don't get too overconfident as well? How was it for you to make sure that the team stays in a right mindset and don't get any effects due to the previous match performances?
So for me, it was good because I was also part of the auction of UP Yoddha, so I knew this player whom we picked up and how they been performing. And I joined the team directly in Bangalore. I didn't go for the preseason out there, so I'd not seen how was the preseason, how the training was happening out there. But most of the players were played last year as well. I think we retained a lot of players, which was there. I think we always believed in a core squad, which we can retain upon, and we knew those players as well much before. I think I would suggest, I would say that with 3 seasons, this was the best season I had as an analyst, where all my work was leveraged and how I could able to, all my ideas in terms of how it has to be brought in to the game was implemented, being part of the coaching staff, being part of every decision making, strategic, tactical or technical, mainly strategic kind of a work which I was involved upon. And it's always great for an analyst where your inputs are also being taken and being respected. That's something which is always important. And if you can connect that with the analytical work which we do, whether it's data or videos or the numbers, and how that can be implemented on the pitch and on to communicate on the players, it becomes very important. So for me, it was like, being very, very close with the coaches in order to understand each and every decision making, the playing 7, playing 12, what kind of trainings are we setting it up, also interacting with our support staff in terms of monitoring the load balance, the load management of the players for the fitness, what kind of trainings was going on. And also, I think we had a very regular, I think 2 things which is really good was that we started communicating or showing what data means. And we didn't make it very complex. We wanted to make it simple for the players. But every meeting, we were actually able to show them how exactly they were, how the performance of the players were. What you see a data by a fan or by the broadcasters is different, and what matters for the team is very different as well. So because what does he add value to the team is what becomes much more important. And also communicating that to the coaches was also very, very important, and they really valued what was being done, and it is they were able to implement, and they were able to accept the fact that what was being shown across to them. As you rightly said, it was more of a roller coaster ride for us. We didn't start well. We lost the first match, and I think a couple of matches we lost, and then we again got back to the winning ways. And again, I think we lost a few more matches continuously. I think 4 matches, and then again we had to win back to the winning ways as well. But however, the good thing what we did for us is that even I think we had like 3 draws. So we got those 3 points over there, and all the matches which we have lost over there, we lost within 7 points, except for the semifinals. So if you lose within 7 points, you get 1 extra point. So that means 9 matches which you have lost give us 9 extra points. So that gave us that kind of a edge for us to qualify, the 3rd team to qualify for the playoffs as well. That all became important. And we're also a balanced squad. We were not someone dependent only on one particular player. Likewise, if you've seen, Bangalore Bulls was more dependent on Pawan Kumar. Delhi, which became the champion, I think Naveen was a key main guy over there. But for us, we had kind of a balanced squad wherein we had 3 raiders. We didn't know who's the best, and we could choose between the guy who performs well, he gets a more of a chance out there. And our defense also had actually been playing for more than a year so far. Why? Because UP also has an academy in Meerut, and so the training happens throughout the year. So this was a defensive team which was there for a year working in the trainings as well, right? So that became pretty well, and we knew that okay, maybe the early couple of matches which we lost, it was also very close matches we had lost through, and then we were able to get back into that shape in that particular.
We could see the way Naveen, Nitish Kumar, and Sumit played, because those 2 guys are really key for the performance of UP Yoddha, and those 2 guys were really, really good. Especially Nitish Kumar, who had a quite start for the season. Like for the first 7 games, he didn't score that much, and then suddenly he got a big push from his side, and he was getting like 3-4 high fives continuously in 5 matches. In 5 matches after that, And then he was making sure he was consistent and being that experienced head in that squad. But one name that we are going to talk for sure is Pradeep Narwal, because the team paid 1.65 crores for him. The conditions, the situation is in a bio-bubble atmosphere. He's coming into this tournament with a big money behind him, and he has a big reputation coming into the tournament as well. And this was a new team altogether. And the first 10 games, if I'm not wrong, 10 to 15 games, he didn't perform well. He wasn't at his best at all. In couple of games, he had to be substituted out and he had to sit out for the second half and all. How was it for you as an analyst to make sure that Pradeep Narwal gets back that confidence? Because as the league stages got over, by the time the last 4 or 5 matches happened, Pradeep Narwal was getting super tense and he was looking the same Pradeep Narwal that we saw 3-4 years ago and what he was for Patna Pirates. How instrumental were you as an analyst for him to get back into the form?
Oh, this was a good experience, I would say, when you have the biggest player in that particular sport playing for you, and his performance goes down or his form goes down, and how do you need to get back, right? And that's the most difficult decision for anyone, whether it's management or the coaches, whether what you got to do. You're going to sit the best player out there, or would you keep giving chances upon that? So it's very crucial for us in order to understand what is the best. And also another thing for our team was we had like another 2 players who were good for rating. We had Surinder Gill and also with Srikanth as well. So that became like, where we have to give other chance for other people also. When it came to Pradeep Narwal, obviously, I think this season, if you look at overall, you see a lot of youngsters have actually performed very well. If not the biggest names previously were there. Let's say Rahul Chaudhary was not the best of his this thing, and maybe he didn't get more chance out there. So also credited with a lot of things was going on as the 2 years of COVID, which actually impacted, wherein there were hardly few matches which the Kabaddi players happened to play there, right? So most of the players have not played. I think in coach also mentioned in his press con that Pradeep had not played much of matches in the last 2 years, and then that also was gives a lot of in terms of how we are coming into the season as well. His training was good in the pre-camp. And then, when he was not able to perform, we looked at 2 parameters. One is on his fitness, and second was the technique. I think the biggest thing was getting was dupki, right? And everyone knew how to control his dupki. If you see, every defender was going low on him and trying to tackle him as well. So we worked on him where what are the other skill which you can do in order to get those points. So in the last 2 matches, if you see, he was doing less of dupki and then was trying to we saw it, what do you call it? We saw it outturn. We're trying to hold on to the player and then come and get the point there. So, and he's a player who can always get a bogey, we call in Hindi. That is, he gets like 2-3 points at once. It's not a player who gets every single point. If he gets points, you get 2-3 points, at one go, right? And if a team loses 2-3 players, and it's easy to get a lot over there. So one we worked upon is skills which he wants to change, because opponent already seen that, and he's a very good, clever player. He understands how exactly to change himself. Second, if you see the last matches, he became very fast in terms of his movements also. A couple of matches was pretty slow and used to hold on, and then the cover is to do that. So he became very fast. We worked on his fastest as well. And even in SportsKPI, we had worked on a metric called as TRI. It's called True Radar Impact. We used in auctions as well. So that tells us that if you give more chance to this kind of player, on the long run, he goes and gets you much more positive points for the team. Okay. That means if he rates for 100 times or 100 rates, he'll get you 130 points kind of a thing. So that number was there, and that number was there for past 3 seasons. And this was something when a coach really happened to have this kind of a conversation. I explained this concept to him. I said, I think let's go with them. Let's give him that chance. And also we went to the strategy that we'll always start him for the first 20 minutes or 10 minutes. If something was not really happening, then we had other 2 players also to, maybe if the defense was very good against Pradeep, we can maybe use Srikanth or Gill. That's why if you see, Gill points also went up in that particular this season as well. So these were points, and also I give credit to our coach as well, because when a person goes down, and there are 2 things. One, what I understood from this season was that if the player is mentally very strong, he wants to do something, and Pradeep was always that he wanted to do and want to get back into things, and he was always working hard to do it. And that's when you need to provide that kind of an extra support for him to keep doing it there, right? And that's what coach did. He had a good talk to him, understand what the challenges are and everything. And it was pretty much working on the mat, preparing your skills. And when they know that opponent has already understood what you can do, you need to improvise on that, or you need to innovate your own stuff. And that can't happen quickly, but he was able to adjust that quickly. And at the later stages, when it mattered the most for us, our play of the quarterfinals against Puneri, and we had lost against them in the previous match when we played them, and he came back and he got like 18 points. So like fantastic out there. Internally communicating the analysis, the videos, we showed him the previous matches when we played for Patna, how exactly he was able to move. The data said that against two-man defense is much more effective, but not with three-man defense. And for three-man, you send Gill, and then for two-man, Pradeep was able to get points. So we made some changes out there, and the data also showed us, and that's where we implemented on Pradeep Narwal.
Pradeep Narwal, as the tournament came to an end, like you said, the fastness, the pace of his was extremely good. I remember a couple of games, he started off the match with a super rate. So that is how impactful he was. And Surinder Gill was the breakout star of the tournament, I have to say, because the way he took up the responsibility, knowing that Pradeep is not going so well, I have to come in and do my work. And he got 21 points in one match, and it was just exceptional to see how Surinder Gill had his whole tournament. Now, Naveen, what do you get out from this tournament? The lessons that you learn after this tournament, and now with the next season of Pro Kabaddi League maybe happening at the end of the year, if we are not wrong, because Asian Games are there during July and August, we might expect Pro Kabaddi League to be in October, November, that time. What will you take from this season to the next season?
I think there are a lot of learnings and lessons. As I told you before that, I think this was one of the fantastic season for me, being in the bubble in the same place and being part of every decision making which happened, and being close to the coaches and understanding what's in their mind and how can we implement, and plus the challenges which you face, right? With not winning two matches and getting back, and those kind of things got us in terms of how exactly to understand the opponent, in terms of the players, the new young players as well. Also, a lot more to be done on our scouting process for the team as well. There are good talents out there, and also how do we really understand those kind of talents and bring them up. Also, how can we have a transparency in terms of what we call as consensus-based planning, or where a scouting comes into picture, how to identify talent and how to get that team stronger out there, and how to use a couple of our analytical tools and methods in order to understand whether should we get in a very experienced player, should we get in players who have at least one season experience as well. So what does the data talk about that, right? So these are some of the hypotheses which you're also working upon right now, which we can use it for the next auction. And also, as UP Yoddha has always given a lot of chance to the young talents. If you see Nitesh, Sumit, Gil, everyone is someone UP Yoddha has always been behind grooming the young talents. And we also will be scouting out and looking out for new talents and then start using it. And another key advantage for UP Yoddha is that since they have an academy, so there are a lot of talents being groomed over there. So we'll also do some work in selecting the players and getting them trained over there and making sure that they can be more suitable for a Pro Kabaddi when it starts off as well.
Thank you, Naveen, for this amazing discussion. The idea of how a biobubble works, you explained it in a really, really good fashion. And of course, we sports fans, we Kabaddi fans will be having this question because this was the very first time that was done in Kabaddi, and how this whole stuff went off is something that we were curious about. And also you analyzing how UP Yoddha performed this whole tournament and how the takeaways that you take from this tournament, and Pradeep Narwal getting him back to form, and all this stuff really gave a lot of information to us, the fans who are looking forward for this. So thank you, Naveen, for joining, and we shall have a lot of conversations like this going forward as we talk about Kabaddi. Thank you.
Thanks, Dhanush. Thanks. This was great to share that knowledge and the experience I had. And thanks for doing this. Okay.